So why are you all here?
Because of you.
So something about this class caught your attention, right? Time management. So as we go, we've got a PowerPoint we're going to follow along, and it's going to keep us, and we've got a packet. Now, did you know that as a Keller Williams associate, the packet that we're about to go through, you have to download as many times as you want, 24/7, because all Keller Williams University courses you have access to online all the time. Same with Ignite. Same, like with any of those courses, just know that they're there for you to download, and you can literally go through them from home. If you do notes in this and then all of a sudden you're like, no, that's really a page I want to print and do again, just know that you can by going online and downloading. And we'll talk through where to access that later. I'm going to pull our PowerPoint up and we'll get started. So, time management with the 4-1-1. The icebreaker question is, if your worst time management habit came to life as a movie villain, who would it be? Give me a few. The Joker? Who said that? I love Tammy. Yes.
If any of you ever have seen Wall-E, it's the little robot that's cleaning all the time. That is my
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? SpongeBob. What do you mean by that?
He's the worst villain of them all. Tortures you with his laugh, and he's easily distracted by bubbles, and he's awful.
I love it. So we're going to make the most of your time. The objective of today is to describe the ground rules for this class. Be nice. Make sure your phones are off. Any kind of vibrating really distracts me. I have ADD. Identify what we're going to learn. Identify why you're here. Identify how you're going to learn. So be respectful. Respect each other. Help each other. Respect confidentiality and have fun. So we're going to talk about this. And just because I'm your instructor doesn't mean I've got this mastered by any means. The best way to learn is to teach. And so we were just talking about this earlier with the group. Is Christy in the room? She was here earlier. She's like, I've attended certain classes 3-4 times over, and that is something that if you want to impress me, do that. Because the more you're in classes, it means the more you're committed to your craft. And there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot that's changing constantly. And so I highly recommend that this be a course that we take together again, because none of us are going to just take it once and walk out here and be masters. So the things that we talk about in this class are to be kept confidential. So if we get onto topics where there's a sensitive matter, we're going to respect confidentiality, and we're going to have some fun, because you know me. We're going to gain perspective and take control, setting goals, accountability, create the 4-1-1, implement the 4-1-1, and then put it all together. Does that sound good? Anyone want to share why you're here? Yes.
You told me I need to do my 4-1-1, and I figured this would be the best time to do it.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Okay, moving on. Action-oriented training. Participate, observe, evaluate, and then create an action plan. If we're here and we talk and everything's in theory and then we don't do anything, what's the point of all of this? So we're actually going to score ourselves as we go so that we can just kind of take some time to go, wow, yeah, no, that's definitely something I got to get better at. And then we're going to create some really simple action steps. And then I want to hear your successes. So when you've got a win, I want to see it, hear it, screenshot it, email it, text it to me, tag me on Facebook. This is a really, really important thing because it's a topic that all of us need to grow in. Discuss how to focus on what really matters, identify your big rocks, discover how to move from entrepreneurial to a purposeful style. That's what we're going to do. And so we're going to focus now in our packets. We're going to be able to follow along. And page 7 says, gain perspective and taking control. Someone want to read the top of that page 8 for me, where it says, before implementing changes.
Sorry.
Thank you. Loud so everyone can hear.
The whole page read?
No, just to the 80-20, please.
Got it. Before implementing changes to your time management and goal-setting activities, let the following key principles give you new perspective to and help shape your success. Number 1, focus on what matters using the 80-20 principle. Number 2, the importance of big rocks. And number 3, the power of moving from E to P.
So let's look at the 80-20 principle. The truth is that there is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life, and it's called the 80-20. Anyone want to just sum up, kind of just not looking at your book, just explain to me what does 80-20 mean?
20% of your activities get 80% of your results.
20% of your activities brings about 80% of your results. And so this figure in the book shows that when we're focused on the 80% that doesn't matter, we tend to get 20% of the results that we want. So why don't more people live by the 80-20 principle? It's counterintuitive. Our intuition tells us that we should focus our energy on at least 80% of our activities to yield the greatest results. The more effort on more things, the better results, right? Like somehow we think that the busier we are, the better we are. And yet, that's really not true. Because the most successful in our field of work have the same amount of time as you and I, right? It's not like they've got more time than we do, it's just that they are managing time in a different way. So how can you transform a behavior that is counterintuitive into one that feels natural? Any ideas? Yeah.
Create a routine.
Create a routine. What do you mean by that?
So, like, humans are creatures of habit. So if you create a routine and do the same thing every day, it's going to become a natural habit. And it's not going to feel like you're being forced to do it.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. So why should you care about the 80-20? Whether you realize it or not, this principle applies to all aspects of your life. Understanding the 80-20 principle gives you the power to have greater insight into what is really happening in your world and what you can do to change it. Until you find talent, set up systems, and use tools to help you run your business, you will always have to do the 80% yourself. So let's turn to page 10, the 50-50 fallacy. Someone want to read that for me?
So, if the 20-20 principle is counterintuitive, what do we often practice in its place? The 50-50 fallacy is practiced. In our democratic society, we may assume that the relationship between effort and result would be a 50-50 balance. For example, in general, we tend to think of the following. Events in our lives hold basically the same significance. Clients and customers contribute equally to our success. Each aspect of our business, product, service, profit, is ultimately equal in value. Phone calls and appointments should be handled with equal priority. Each opportunity has the same weight as any other. The 50-50 fallacy is harmful mindset because it promotes the inaccurate view of cause and effect relationships. For example, if you have 1 hour to spend, which is a more productive activity, making lead generation calls or organizing your file system. Both of these can produce beneficial results for your business, but one is much more highly productive.
So the point is distinguishing between the vital 20% and the less important 80% in all aspects of our lives allows us to use time more wisely and maximize possibilities. So we're going to identify the big rocks. Have you identified what really matters in your life? Have you weighed out your interests, your passions, and your responsibilities and truly defined your 20%? So I'd like someone to read on page 11, please, the big rocks in the jar.
I'll read it, Rebecca.
Thank you.
After talking to his students about scheduling all their activities, a high school science teacher takes a large-mouthed jar and places several large rocks in it. He then asks the class, "Is it full?" Unanimously, the class replies, "Yes." The teacher then takes a bucket of gravel and pours it into the jar. The small rocks settle into the spaces between the big rocks. He then asks the class, is the jar full now? Most of the students reply yes. Some were reluctant to agree a second time. The teacher then produces a large can of sand and proceeds to pour it into the jar. The sand fills up the spaces between the gravel and the big rocks. For the third time, the teacher asks, is the jar full? Convinced nothing else could go into the jar, many of the students answered yes. Then the teacher brings out a pitcher of water and pours it into the jar. The water saturates the sand and encases the gravel and rocks. At this point, the teacher asks the class, what is the point of this demonstration? One bright young student raises his hand and responds, no matter how full our schedule is, we can always squeeze in more things to do. You might think that, replies the teacher, but the point is that unless you first place the big rocks into the jar, you are never going to get them in. The big rocks are the important things in your life, your family, your friends, and your personal growth. If you fill your life with small things, as demonstrated with the gravel, sand, and water, you will never have the time for your important things.
So time equals life, and therefore you waste your time and you waste your life, or you master your time and you master your life. How many can identify with you're a newer agent, you get a client, and everything becomes all about that client, right? And so then everything revolves around that client, and you're literally just at their beck and call. Every text, every email, everything has to be responded to so quickly. And by doing that, now all of a sudden your attention and your energy has been taken off of what? Lead generation. The very thing that you need to be doing to create consistency in your business. Does anyone relate to this? Right? And then all of a sudden, I see it where people come in and they've even, been given awards and there's all these things going on, and they come and they're like, I don't have anything else. Like I worked so hard and now I've got nothing in the pipeline. What do I do now? And it's like, okay, that means we just have to find consistency in the activities, and it starts with our time. So the Big Rock story is an exercise to help you visualize and appreciate how time can be eaten up by small tasks. That's the gravel, the sand. What are some of the small tasks that take up your time?
Filing in your file system.
Filing, sure.
Answering email.
Answering email, yep. Facebook. Yeah, absolutely. These are all the gravel, the sand, the water, leaving no room for the more important tasks. So before you can start the 411 goal setting process, you must identify your big rocks. That is, what is the most important thing to you and what will be your 20%? So on page 12, it says, exercise, your big rocks. Take a moment to write down 1 or 2 personal big rocks and 1 or 2 business-related big rocks. They may overlap. So take a minute right now and just write down a few personal big rocks and business-related big rocks. Can someone give me an example of a personal big rock?
Getting healthy.
Yeah, that was the first on mine too. Health. That's good. What else?
Family.
Family. Mm-hmm.
Horses.
Say that again?
Horses.
Horses. Yep.
Feeding my family, groceries, housekeeping.
Yep, absolutely. Caring for them. Mm-hmm. Someone give me an example of big rocks in business.
Lead generation.
Lead gen?
Education.
Relationship building.
Relationship building? Definitely. What else? I put my team, so my leadership team and my business sales team, and client care. So truly knowing that I've done everything I can to truly care for our clients. On page 13, it says moving from E to P. You may have heard this phrase, move from E to P. What does it mean to you? It means that you maximize your productivity and reach your goals. You need to move from entrepreneurial style of operation to a purposeful style of operation. So here is a graph that kind of describes what entrepreneurial style is. So can anyone relate with the following? Energy and drive, excitement and everywhere, enthusiastic and positive thinking, ease and intuition, effort and natural behavior, personality, emotional and spontaneous. Thank you. I have a twin in the room? Yeah. So there's going to be all of us who can identify with something on that list, right? I mean, that's why you're a real estate agent, isn't it? We chose to be an entrepreneur. We chose to be able to create our own path, right? We don't want anyone to box us in or tell us what time to show up or what to do or how to do it, right? We want freedom. And so that's good. All of that is good. That energy and that drive is good. However, what happens is you reach this plateau. There's like this ceiling of achievement that natural talent takes you, and then you kind of get stuck. And so there's nothing better than to go to a class or to have a coaching conversation or have an accountability conversation with someone, and all of a sudden you walk away and you're like, I just got unstuck. I can feel it. Something just shifted. I got that moment of inspiration. And so what happens is you get stuck here, and then there's disappointment, resignation, greener pastures, and that's why agents change offices. Because it's quicker and easier to go, oh, it was too big and I was just this like lost in the crowd, you know, when really they just were never showing up. Like we never saw them. And so then the greener pastures of, oh, go over here because of the split, or go over here because of what they're offering. And the reality is, it's us. It's us. You can go somewhere else for a time and you'll probably see a bit of a spike because your energy just shifted and things moved around. However, long-term growth, the grass isn't greener.
You're still you.
You are still you when you get there. Absolutely. And so what happens then is we need to go and say, has anyone felt that in your business? Just kind of felt a little stuck. Yeah. And you can't even put your finger on it. So new agents, if you haven't gotten there yet, it's okay. And when you do, just know you're in good company. It's almost like just something's off and you can't really put your finger on it. It's okay to be stuck. It just means there's a class or a conversation that has to take place. Purposeful means that you do what comes unnaturally. Purposeful style is focus, options, models, systems, and accountability. And those are all things that if you are in real estate, you're going to resist and you're going to hate, right? Like you're absolutely going to love your coach and hate your coach. And that's okay. Like you can walk away and just be like, cursing my name, that's fine. Because it just means I care about you. I care enough about you to have an uncomfortable conversation with you. Because we're all here to be productive, right? We want to take care of our families and build really great businesses. And so what happens then is action-focused training consulting. You become learning-based, and then you have higher and higher levels of success. Any questions on that? That's taking entrepreneurial and then becoming purposeful. So what I want you to do is turn to your partner that you're sitting next to And I'm going to assign a topic, and I want you to brainstorm ways to move through this activity from being entrepreneurial style to purposeful style, okay? And what I'm going to do here is this group right here, you're going to turn to your neighbor and brainstorm around returning phone calls. Okay, so yours is returning phone calls. Center section, yours is identifying the first 10 calls during lead generation. Identify the first 10 calls during lead generation. And then group over here, yours is reviewing monthly financials. So I want you to turn to your partner that you're sitting next to, brainstorm together ways to entrepreneurial, so you're kind of excited and everywhere, enthusiastic and positive, efforts, natural behavior. How do you move from being entrepreneurial in that particular task to being purposeful? Okay, so we're just going to take 5 minutes now. Go.
Verify that everything's categorized right. See where I'm spending my money and where I can do
So it would fall going with enthusiasm and drive having strategic options scripts, having systems on that, just following through. And then maybe having a coach maybe that checking back in with I wanted to give away 5 makeups
really run the team.
So when you're doing your calls, who should be the first 10 calls that you make? So how are you prioritizing? Are you just kind of randomly like picking a number, or who would be the most productive people to reach out to as your top 10 calls first? Okay. Yeah.
You're out.
All right, let's bring it back together. And so my team 1 over here, your assignment was returning phone calls. How do we take that from just, random, I just return phone calls, entrepreneurial, to purposeful?
Schedule a time for it.
Schedule a time for it. Fabulous, thank you. What else?
Practice.
Know your scripts.
Practice, what do you mean by that? So know your scripts.
Oh yeah, I'm going to call the people for my open house, but what am I going to say? And so I have to practice.
Practice.
People and calling and saying the scripts.
Absolutely. So be scripted so that you're prepared. You're not just randomly taking the time to make a call, but you know what you're actually calling about, what you're going to say, and what the purpose is before you hang up the phone. That's great. What else?
We had a matrix for prioritization, how urgent the calls are, in terms, are they clients, and then maybe the value return that we would be getting, like knowing that the 20%, focus on the 20%.
Absolutely.
And then screening calls, and we also had scheduling.
Perfect. Perfect. Nancy, you were going to say something?
I was going to say, share with someone that you're going to, what time you're going to do the calls, and then they can call you and say, hey, did you do, to have an accountability.
Absolutely. Accountability is huge. Great. Good. All right, group 2. You were assigned to identify the first 10 calls during lead gen time.
We came up with, it's easy to give up after the first 5, getting discouraged of no one answering or hanging up on you.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to get distracted, but to be purposeful is to stay focused and then follow through with maybe your coach afterwards saying, I called these 10 and I had this many no answers or hang-ups. And
right.
maybe your one success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So moving from purposeful to from entrepreneurial to purposeful, what I hear you saying is it would almost be documentation, right? Like you could screenshot your call log and then send it to someone to say, I made this many calls.
Right.
If you're being distracted, it would then be creating what Gary Keller calls the bunker, right? If you've read the book, The One Thing, it's a great read. And he says, create a bunker. Remove anything that's going to distract you so that during that time, you're not distracted, you're focused, and this is what you're going to do. That's great. What else? Yeah.
Were you gonna? Are you sure? Yeah. All right. So we came up with be organized to decide who you're gonna call, whether it's suppliers or like FISBOs and stuff. So making a list of who you're gonna call.
Make a list. Yep.
Stay on topic. So if you're calling your sphere of influence, don't let it be a personal call. Let them know that this is a business call. So you can limit the time you're on the phone. And then we also said practice your scripts, which is the same thing they said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
So just to reiterate that, it was just categorizing, laser focused to categorize, so you know it every single day, this is how you're going to do it, instead of spinning your wheels, going in there without a plan or a system of action.
Right.
That's what eats up most of the time, I think, for myself especially.
Yeah.
And a certain time.
Certain time of day, right? And then I think it's also being purposeful in why are you making the calls? Are you making the calls because you're looking for your next listing appointment?
It's not contacts, it's contracts, right?
Yeah, it's what is the purpose of these calls? And then if you're looking at this list of 10, maybe it's not the most urgent, what is the most value? Like Tracy was saying, let's look at this 80-20 and go, who is the one that represents the most potential for my next listing appointment? Because that's ultimately why I'm making calls, isn't it? I'm making calls to book an appointment. And so it's being purposeful in that group of 10, who are you calling first? Definitely.
I'm not part of their group.
You're allowed to speak.
Thank you. When I'm doing cold calling, lead generating, cancels, FISBOs, anything like that, where I know I'm going to spend the next 9 phone calls possibly getting beat up, I start with a win. I will make my first phone call purposeful to a recent sold past client. They're not going to hammer on me. They're going to be kind. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm going to come out of that phone call on a high, happy, jovial.
Absolutely.
And then I'm going to dial for dollars.
Right. So it's coming from contribution, right? So you've gotten into that attitude of gratitude, and now you're warmed up, and now I can make those other calls. Who's been with me in a class when we do our business to business calls? And that's how I warm up personally before I do calls, is I call coming from contribution. And so I'll just literally pull up a stranger that's a plumber, landscaper, roofer, and just say, hey, are you looking for new clients? I'd love to send new business your way. And someone on the other end that truly is legitimately thank you, yes, I'm looking for new business, thank you so much. Now I've warmed up, I've warmed up, the phone's warmed up a little bit, and now I'm ready to, what did you say?
Dial for dollars.
Dial for dollars. Okay. Group 3, what was yours? Reviewing monthly financials.
Yay.
How do you move from being entrepreneurial to purposeful?
Time block it, because if it's not in your schedule, it doesn't exist.
Good, Colton. What else?
Hire a bookkeeper.
Hire a bookkeeper. Absolutely. If that's not your strength, and like some of the smirks on your faces, I know it's not, it's okay. Like, it's good to then hire someone to do something you're not good at. If you're not good at it, you're never going to be good at it.
Colleen, you know, sometimes when she goes away, I've got to be in charge of her stuff, and it's not my gift. And when she comes home, she thanks me, and then she says, "Stay in your lane, Gail, stay in your lane." So that's true, you know, that, you know, you should focus on what you're good at. And
Absolutely.
do that.
Absolutely. What else?
If you were part of a team, make that a team conversation and be consistent with it.
That's
good. What else?
What did that about document your expenses, keep your receipts, and then even the P&L statement, so you kind of, I mean, that kind of goes into financials, but, I mean, you have to keep your receipts and keep expenses as opposed to.
Well, you have to, but not everybody does.
That's because they're in the E still.
So it would be using the tools we have, right? CTE is one of them right now, where if you get familiar with that tool, you'll see that every receipt can be logged and tracked in one place. So then you'll literally know how much you're spending, and they've even gone as far as to do red light, green light, haven't they? Right? Based on the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, where it says green light I can spend, red light I can't right now. They've actually coded the program to be Kellerized in that way. So moving from entrepreneurial, just going, oh yeah, you know, yeah, my numbers are good, and not really knowing, to actually looking at the numbers using CTE would be one way to be purposeful. CTE, it stands for Commitment to Excellence. It's a free tool that each one of you has access to. You just have to ask Dan or myself, come to an immersion class. We'll touch on it there a little bit. And then they have a YouTube channel full of videos of how to, bless you, how to use the tool. And the financial piece of that tool is huge. It's huge. So it's a free tool we use, and that's one of the ways we can be purposeful, not entrepreneurial. Now, Colton brought up the most important part, though, is that it needs to be on your calendar as a reoccurring event, and you have a free tool called the Google Calendar, right? And you can set this as a reoccurring event, that it happens monthly, that you're going to sit down and review your financials. And then John says, if you want to really take it up a notch, it's that you hire someone to hold those numbers accountable. And a lot of times it's not a whole lot of money. It's worth it, because if you're not doing that at all right now, it's something that needs to be done. And so it's worth the investment of having someone hold your numbers accountable. So, all right, great. So, page 17. We've reached the end of this chapter, and before we move on, we're going to take a quick minute, and we're going to go to the very back of your packet. The second page in your packet looks like this: My Scorecard. And so for chapter 1, Gaining Perspective and Taking Control, it says, I practice the 80-20 principle in my daily work. I have identified my big rocks, and to reach my goals, I move from E to P. I want you to grade yourself in this box right now. There's no right or wrong answer. You're just going to grade yourself here. How are you doing there? I like numbers. This one says letters. Grade yourself from A to F on your mastery level of each topic. If you want to do 1 through 5, or if you want to do A, B, C, D, E, F. And then we're going to review that at the very end together. All right, so let's move on to chapter 2. Setting goals with accountability. Review what it means to aim high explain how to set SMART goals, S-M-A-R-T, discuss the importance of goal categories, and review how to build accountability into the process. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to cover page 20, aim high. A goal is an end point, a finish line. And what we do when we cross, and what do we do when we cross the finish line? We stop. The thing you must be careful about goal setting is to avoid letting your goals become ceilings to your future achievement. A much better path is to set goals that place the finish line far away and then allow you to pause to catch your breath or celebrate your progress along the way. Big goals. Goals that we aspire to achieve someday, keeping our feet moving and lead us to highest possible potential. So let's talk about this. Who in the room has had their KPA completed and verified? So Keller Personality Assessment is this tool that we use. Once you complete the assessment, then you sit down with someone. You can't just, hey, Rebecca, send me the results. I'll say no, period. You have to meet with another human being on the leadership team and review the results together. And so of the people in the room, who went through and actually did the full KPA where you did a 5-year motivational conversation with someone? Yeah. And so what happens is we sit down together, and it takes time. It's a good 45 minutes to an hour, and we talk through, it's 2019 now, right? So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So it's 2024, and I want you to just take a minute and think about that. It's 2024, so you're how old? How old are your kids? Okay, you don't have to answer out loud. You're so cute, Gail. All right, Gail.
I'm still coloring my hair. That's what I want to know.
All right, Gail, thank you for being my volunteer. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify 4 categories. So let's imagine you're coloring your hair.
Yes.
Okay? And it's 2024, and we sit down together, and I go, Gail, how's it going? And you look at me, and your eyes are sparkling, and you say, Rebecca, it's amazing. Like, amazing! For you to answer me like that, what's happening in your job category?
I'm only working 6 months a year here, and I'm doing another 6 months a year in Texas at like a new construction is my goal.
Awesome. And so 6 months here, 6 months there. What else? What else is happening in the realm of your job?
I don't know what you're looking for.
Do you have any teams, assistants? Do you have people who are doing stuff?
Staying in my lane.
Uh-huh.
I'm a buyer's agent, because that is my gift. I'm still with Colleen.
Okay. And so what's that going to do for you? You've got 6 months here, 6 months there.
As it relates to my personal life, what's it going to do for me?
Yeah, how are you going to feel?
I'm going to be happy because I get to be with my new granddaughter here, and hopefully one in Texas by then. My dumb kid moved out of state. So.
Okay. Okay.
So that's our goal, though. At 65, we want to be semi-retired.
Mm-hmm.
My husband will probably be 100% retired. That's why I need to keep working so I don't kill him.
Okay. And so money-wise, it's amazing. Like, we're talking and you're filling me in. It's better than you could have imagined. What's happening in the category of money?
Well, all my investments that I've done in my lifetime have performed well. We continue to work with our investment broker and take his direction on how to take money.
Okay.
And by then, homes are paid for, so that's our only debt, so it'd be nice to have that gone.
Awesome.
And we are working on that.
Do you own investment properties?
No.
You will then,
But
right?
I will, yeah.
Great. And then fun, so you're traveling back and forth. What are you doing for fun? 5 years out, you're telling me about some of the trips you've taken.
I've done a Viking ocean cruise to the Scandinavian countries. I love that. And then Greece. And hopefully taking that 5-year-old granddaughter to Disneyland.
Awesome. So the brain can do this. The brain can go out about 5 years because it's not attached to like right here, right now, today, right? And this is the short version. When you sit down and we really go in depth, this is what happens when you verify your KPA with someone. Then what we do is we take this number and then we identify something in here, one in each normally. What's one thing that you could do in 2019 towards having your houses paid off? Or, right, we'd pick one thing, or what's one thing that you could do right now to purchase an investment property? And we take that one thing. What's one thing that you could do right now to research and see who would you want to be in business with down here? What builder, right? Like you get very specific, because here it's a little more general, and you get really, really specific about things. Like he's retired by then. What is the calendar plan for that? When is that happening? What's the goal date for that? And then identifying, let's pick one of these. How much does this trip cost? Jump on Kayak and figure out what the actual dollar amount is to purchase flights to get there, how much it would be to actually buy the trip, right? So you can now start putting really specific things next to what it is that you've identified. Then from there, it's a lot easier to then go 3 years, 2 years, this year. What do we do this year towards those plans? Does that make sense? So what that's called is the 5-year motivational conversation when we verify your KPA. If you haven't done that yet, all you have to do is just email Dan or myself or Jeff, and we'll send you the link, and then we'll book a time to sit down and go over it with you in more detail. So on page 20, it has this question. It says, select an area of your business, for example, your net income or the structure of your organization, your people. What's your someday goal for this business area? Where and how do you see your future self? Now drill it in closer. What's your 5-year goal? What's your 3-year goal? What's your 1-year goal? So take 3 to 4 minutes here and just jot down what comes to mind when you're doing your self-assessment here. All right, so let's turn to page 21, and we're going to talk through how to set SMART goals. SMART stands for specific. S is specific. Sorry, this is page 21. This is specific. M is measurable. A is action-oriented. R is realistic. And T is time-bound. So work smarter, not harder. And so on page, is it 21 in your books? Is that what it is? Okay. So look at the example. The first example says hire 2 new resources. And so that's an annual goal. And it says hire a lead buyer specialist and a lead listing specialist. So you can hear the difference here, right? They're vague goals, and now they've gotten more specific. So let's do the second one together. Number 2 says 8 seller listings. It says that this is a desired result more than an action-oriented goal. So how are you going to achieve 8 seller listings? So it would be breaking it down into appointments, right? It would be that you need to break down the numbers to go, how many appointments do I need to go on to actually have 8 listings? 3, attend all KWU training courses. Well, how many are there? Over 50. So how would you do that? You have to get specific, right? You can't these are vague terms that many of us use. I'm guilty. And when someone cares enough about you to ask more clarifying questions, it becomes really powerful. So number 3 would need to be more specific. It would need to be, you know, as you're putting your growth plan together for 2019, what classes, what topics, right? If you want to be luxury designated, and you go research how much does it cost to be luxury designated with Keller Williams, how much is the 15-hour clock hour, how many homes over 500,000 do you need to sell? Get specific so then you can actually say this is now something that I've created a SMART goal around. 4, hire or recruit, hire, and train new buyer specialist. Is it realistic? 5, travel to Europe. When? When are you traveling to Europe? By when? How much is it going to cost? How long do you need to get the money together? Can you hear what I'm saying? Like, these goals aren't specific enough, and that's what happens is you need another set of eyes to read through whatever those goals are to kind of ask those questions, because it's hard for us to ask ourselves those questions. Receive feedback from ACL. I don't know what ACL stands for there. That's
I think it's supposed to be ALC.
Could be ALC. And then implement the 33 or 36 touch plan weekly. 8, relabel all the files in the lateral filing cabinet. So all of a sudden you need to be specific about things and then break them down into bite-sized tasks that can actually be put on your calendar. Because at this point, I can't put travel to Europe on the calendar. Like I could, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, we've got to figure out the actual breakdown of it. So on page 22, it says use goal categories. In preparation for creating a 411 action sheet or action goal worksheet, you should begin to concentrate on the goal categories that are the most important. Someone read me the 8 goal categories, please.
Leads, listings, contracts written, contracts closed, money, people, systems and tools, education.
And so this is how you should think about when you're goal setting and putting together your 411. Then page 23, build in accountability. Accountability is the KW experience, the most crucial part of goal achievement. When you take the time to report to someone else how and what you did during or did in moving toward your goals, it lends even more focus and motivation to your activities. Think about your role in your business and to whom are you accountable for your goals? Are you a solo mega agent who has a consultant or team leader to discuss your 411 each week? Are you a team leader who reports your goals and progress to an operating principal? Don't be afraid of accountability. Who likes accountability? Like, let's just keep it real. Nobody does. Like, we're human. Nobody likes it. However,
Motivated, I like it. When I'm not motivated, I don't.
I like it when I'm giving
you can drop the mic there, yeah. That's good, it's true.
When I want to be led.
Lead me when I want to be led is what he just said. Can you relate with that? Right? So, and that's where, are you in a place, right, of humility enough to say, I want my business to grow as big as it should, and in order for that to happen, I have to be humble enough to be accountable for what I'm doing. And it's uncomfortable and necessary. Right? So many of you are in productivity coaching. You're meeting, some of you aren't. Some come to script practice, some don't. It's okay. However, are you truly engaging the program, and is there someone who's checking and double checking what it is you're doing? And if not, start with a peer partner. Just start with the person you're sitting next to right now. By the end of class, you could just go, hey, this is what I commit to do, and this is, I'm going to take a picture of what I've done and send it to you afterwards. Or you hire a coach, or you get into MAPS coaching at different levels. MAPS coaching has group coaching, where there's group calls that people jump on and then they report their goals to each other. Mastery MAPS coaching is one-on-one with one coach that's only coaching you. And that's the conversation every single week is, did you do what you said you would? And they're literally paid to make sure you do it. And if you don't, it's what do you need? What kind of resources are you lacking? Or what kind of script do you need? All of that is available through MAPS coaching. All right, so accountability is a process you do with someone else. It is difficult over time to hold yourself accountable to tough goals. Accountability is about defending your activities to an objective observer. And what I would highly recommend is this is not be someone that's like a significant other, partner, spouse, or whatever. It has to be someone that's just kind of removed from your day in, day out. Because otherwise, it's not objective. And it's just not healthy. You have to keep track of your numbers. Your goal numbers may be the target, but they mean nothing if you are not taking regular measurements of your progress towards them. At any point in the game, you've got to know the score and how far ahead or behind you may be. Otherwise, you'll never be in a position to make meaningful adjustments. Accountability is about getting and using feedback. Many times, does anyone have, can I use this for a sec? Coaching is like this. If I'm the water in the bottle, I can't read what this says out here. I can't read the label, right? I'm the water in here. I can't see what the label outside says. Coaching is someone outside of you who can read this and tell you from the inside what's going on outside. So many times in coaching, it's, what activities did you do or didn't do? Or, well, why didn't you do? Someone from the outside has a different perspective to be able to speak into the situation or the circumstance that you describe. And a lot of times they've got scripts to give you, or they've got an encouraging word or something like, I've been there and I've done that and this is how I overcame it. So accountability is getting that feedback that you can't give yourself when you're inside the bottle. You need to be able to look at your business numbers and then refocus your efforts. So right there on the page 23, set goals, do the activities, measure results, evaluate the process, make adjustments. So now we're going to score ourselves on the second one. So go to your scorecard. I aim high by setting someday 5-year, 3-year, 1-year goals. I set SMART goals for myself. I use goal categories to focus my goals, and I have someone to hold me accountable to my goals. So take a minute and jot down your A through F scoring there. All right. So now grab that piece of paper that I gave you that looks like this, please. And at the top of this, I want you to title this GPS. It's also called the 135, just so that we could add an extra acronym to your world to make it fun.
Do you have more of those?
I may not. Let me go and make copies real fast. Thank you.
I would like one. Can I have one in your hand?
Oh, I thought I did red. Sorry. That's what you get. That's not my gifting. Who needs one?
We found.
Oh, you found some. Okay, cool. All right. So the GPS 135, this is where everything starts. So you need to have a goal. So G stands for goal. So write that down. Goal. One goal. One goal.
Inside there?
You can just put it right up there. That's totally fine. One goal, 3 priorities, and then 5 strategies. So it's important to do this activity, and you can do this for pretty much anything. Any goal, anything that you set out to do. You can use this tool, and it's not just a business tool. You can use this for anything. So let's think of something totally unrelated to real estate.
Cycle across the USA.
So the goal is lose 50 pounds. So that's the goal. And how many, have you heard people say that? Oh, I want to lose weight. Well, it's not specific, right?
How much weight? When do you want to lose it by?
Right? Yeah. So you're going to pick a goal. Let's say the goal is to lose 50 pounds. What 3 things are going to contribute to that weight loss?
Exercise, what you need.
So we could do exercise. Okay?
Diet.
Meal plan. Meal plan.
What else? What would that third one be?
Accountability.
Affirmations. Date.
All right. So then what we do is we take that and we create 5 strategies in each of those. So just in the exercise category, what are 5 things that will then contribute to exercise actually working?
Time block. Do it every day. Schedule it.
Membership.
So it'd be gym. Oops.
Get a personal trainer.
So how many times a week am I exercising?
3 to 5. Go 4.
Okay. What else? What do I enjoy doing? What are activities that would actually, like I would consider fun, right? So it wouldn't be exercise, but it'd be fun activities where I'm moving.
Take the dogs for a walk.
Yeah. Okay, so now under diet, what are the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? What are the 5 things that are going to contribute to diet working for me to lose 50 pounds? Meal prep, educate.
Keep track.
Water. Keep your family on board.
Absolutely. All right, so now accountability. What kind of accountability do I need to be able to lose 50 pounds?
Buy some different clothes.
Buy clothes?
Yeah. Smaller clothes. All you have to do is fit into them.
I already have plenty.
It doesn't work. You haven't been in a giver closet. Trust me, it doesn't work.
All right, what else? What happens under accountability?
You check the scale once a week.
Check in with someone.
Mm-hmm.
Also do measurements.
Okay, so by doing this activity, can you see how we got really specific? Can you see how now I could actually take taking dogs for a walk and put that on my calendar? Versus lose 50 pounds, I can't put that on my calendar. Does that make sense? That I could then go and mindset, right? Like, so what Jake's talking about is a vision board, right? Or an actual outfit or something that's a goal. This is the goal that represents where I'm going to be. And so that's right on track with everything to do with mindset. We're giving you a hard time because we're girls and we have closets full of clothes that don't fit. However, that's the first part of that is to visualize that it's already come to pass. And that's the power of a prayer board or a vision board, is that these things represent something to you. And there's programs where we've talked about before where like I transpose my face onto like certain things or doing certain activities so I can easily visualize like that's going to happen. That's what I'm doing, right? Affirmations, it's about mindset. Who do I need to be? What do I need to be doing to be able to have a body that's lost 50 pounds? So now I can actually take this weigh in and actually put it on the calendar. So can you see how important it is and how powerful it was to actually do it together? This activity alone sucks. It can't be done. You've got to have at least one other or two other people look at it to really help you build it out. This is called the 1-3-5. And when you coach with Gary Keller, he doesn't want to talk to you unless you have this one page. So when we meet one-on-one, that's one of the things that I ask for, is I want to see this, and then it leads to what we're going to talk about now, which is the elements of the 4-1-1. Okay? Any questions on that? So,
Would you have multiple 1-3-5s or GPSs?
For anything, for everything, right? So let's do that, and let's just say that my one thing, and so I just gave you this simple sheet because this is how my brain works, is just, this is a helpful thing. So let's say that you identify that you're going to hold 50 open houses. The goal is 50 open houses. And so what are 3 priorities that contribute to you holding 50 open houses?
Identifying a house to hold open.
So it'd be houses, okay? What else?
Scripts.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So identifying houses to be able to hold 50 open houses. So it could be that we're setting a boundary, right? Based on your goals, what you've added into the CGI calculator is your average sale price. And we're going to serve everyone that comes to us, right? We're going to sell a $27,000 mobile home in the park, and we're going to sell $1.2 million properties. And you can be intentional about what you're doing with your activities. So what I mean by that is you could make a rule for yourself. Make a rule that when you hold open houses, you only hold open houses that are $375 or above. Who comes to a house that's priced for $375? Someone that could be downsizing from a $700,000 house. Someone that's got a house to sell that's downsizing, right? That's also a price point where someone could be selling a condo or an entry-level home that they had to move up, right? They could be a move-up buyer. Now you have 2 closings because you're holding an open house. Be strategic. If you want to have a business that's heavy with investors, you'd go hold open houses at houses that are under $200,000, right? Because that's going to attract a certain kind of cash buyer, right? Or it's going to attract who else? First-time home buyers. So you can be intentional with your activities. And so let's just say for 50 open houses, I'm going to identify houses. Then what else would happen under houses? So I would say listing agents. You're in relationship with listing agents. They may or may not be from this office. If you see a for sale sign that pops up down the street, like I called the lady and I was like, you've got a great listing and I literally live 6 houses over. I'd love to hold it open sometime. See if they're open to it. Some of them go, no. Others, you could say, hey, I literally live 5 houses down. If ever you get a quick showing, or if you just, there's a question of security, or you want me to pop over, I'm going to text you my number. Please keep me in mind. You're building relationship with listing agents, so then you've got priority on their open house schedule. Do you track me here, right? You're making friends. Location. Is it in an area that you're familiar with? Or are you just randomly just grabbing an open house because it was convenient at the time? Or are you being specific? Are you holding open houses in an area that you want to dominate? You're being purposeful. You're not being entrepreneurial, but you're being purposeful in the open houses that you hold. You're not just grabbing the first thing off of the, hey, we need an open house. You're actually being selective. Does that make sense? What were you going to say?
Is it 2 turns off a major street?
Is it off 2 turns off of major street? So that could be location, and I'll just put down farm, right? So is it 2 turns? Because we know that you take the open house class and that's what you learn, is it's got to be quick and easy access, otherwise you lose them. What else under the actual house?
I go onto the MLS and do a search for our agents, like look up our office, our active listings.
Yeah, that's good.
By days on market and go through, and I'll go, oh, I like this one, and contact the agent.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go down the list because then we know what you want instead of like the emails like, oh, hey, I want to hold my open house in Graham, and you're like, no, where in Graham? Is it off Meridian or is it down Broad Road?
Absolutely. Those are important things. So selecting Keller Williams listings, you guys, if you want to be moving from entrepreneurial to purposeful, John, how would you feel? Do you have any listings live right now?
One great piece of vacant land if anyone wants to hold it open.
Okay. Anyone have an active listing right now?
Today.
Awesome. I've got one in Bonnie Lake right now. I cannot understand why it's not selling. I'd love some feedback. How cool would it be if everybody in this room, or even half of us, were purposeful about previewing each other's listings? And then before you leave the driveway of the home that you're previewing, you're texting the listing agent so they don't have to go through all the hassle to send you the, thanks for showing my listing. Thanks for sending me feedback. And you literally just text it to them. Hey, great house. Are you doing a carpet allowance? What happens though, you guys, is it's a gift. Because by you doing that, now there's a reason for that listing agent to reach out to their client, and that listing agent will remember your name. That's how we function. That's our culture here, right? The other one is conditioned and staged. It's very, very important to just do a quick walkthrough of the house that you're going to hold open.
I mean, you should actually see the house before you hold it open.
You should smell the house.
Yes.
The house should have heat.
Yes.
The house should have heat.
Water.
It should have water. That's why in immersion we talk about the gallon of water you bring with you.
Question on that, if you say, you know, we should preview it before we open it, hold it open, if there's people living in it, do you set an appointment with them and just say, hey, I need to come preview it?
Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. You don't want to displace people too much, and with a few days' notice, I would absolutely want to go and walk through whenever possible. It doesn't always work out. I'm just saying, being purposeful about this, we're talking perfect world purposeful. Yes, definitely.
When you set that appointment too, you can say, I'm the person that's going to hold your house open and find a buyer this weekend. Would it be okay if I came by? You don't have to leave for it. I just want to come by and spend 10 minutes in your house and take a look at it. You can tell me all the great features, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not a 1 hour showing. I'm gonna
Right,
be there.
just
I'm
quick
there
in and
5,
out,
10 minutes.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Condition, there was one where it was filthy. Pictures were beautiful. Pictures were beautiful, and I did not have a chance to preview it. And I got there and I was cleaning for the first 30 minutes, and I was sweaty and gross, and I was just like, note to self, preview houses. Okay, so scripts, open houses. Oh, I've held open houses and they don't work. Open houses don't work. They just don't work. Every time I ask someone if they have an agent, the answer is
Yes.
yeah. Don't ask them.
Yeah.
Don't ever ask.
Question, yeah.
Don't ever ask. Can I borrow this for a second?
Who's your agent?
So you have your sign-in clipboard or your sheet or whatever it is you're using, right? If you're like me, I forgot mine, like sitting on the desk. So just grab whatever blank piece of paper. I always have my little notebook with me. And so, hi, thanks for coming in. I'm Rebecca.
I'm Kara.
Stellar asked 2 things. 1, that you remove your shoes, and 2, that you sign the guest book.
Sure.
Thanks so much.
It's not a would you, it's a, here you go.
Great, thanks so much for doing that. You guys are looking around. If you have any questions, let me know.
Great.
So have you guys been writing any offers lately?
No, we're just kind of looking around.
Okay. Do you have kids that go to this school district, or what brings you out to this property?
We do have kids in the school district.
Okay. Are they on bus, or are you driving them right now?
We do drop off, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, take a look around. Let me know. Don't ask if they have an agent. The answer is always going to be yes. Ask, have you written any offers lately? Ask other questions creatively to get information from them. I know a pain point now for her. What do I know? She drives. And I know the pain of driving. You can either live too close or too far, and now you're driving your kids. Kids come in, get down. Hi. Look, there's probably 3 rooms up there. I'll race you up there to see which one is yours. Like, do something to engage them, and don't ask if they have an agent. If they have an agent and they're Keller Williams and they've been trained correctly, they're going to actually pull out their business card and go, yes, I do have an agent. Her name's Kara. She's great. Here's a bunch of her cards. She gave them to me when we sat down and did this buyer consultation thing. She told me that, when I go to open houses, I'm supposed to just give you her card like that. Like, that's what they'll do, because that's the expectation that we set with our clients from the very first appointment. You're going to walk through open houses. Agents are going to ask you questions. Here's a stack of my cards. You just give it to them, and then they let you roam. Okay, so we have scripts. Don't ask if they have agents. You get the point. A 135 is for anything. So then it's like, hey, we want to hold a really cool... We want to have a really cool client event. You get the point. Everything that you do, take the time, grab a blank piece of paper, and break it down so that then you can literally get to these points, because then these are the things that you can actually then add to the calendar on purpose. Any questions on the 1-3-5? You can check that off, you guys. You know what a 1-3-5 is. What does the GPS stand for?
Goals, priorities, strategies.
Perfect. Okay. All right, so now we're on page 26. The 411 process is a practical system that drives your goal setting and helps you structure your time, resulting in greater accomplishments. The 411 Action Goal Worksheet is formatted to guide you as you define goals for 1 year, 1 month, and 4 weeks. In the category, I'm like, why do they not call it the 114 then? Those are the things that keep me up at night. In the categories of job, business, personal finance, and personal. So look at that down below. My annual goals in my job category, 1, 2, 3, 4. Record your personal annual big rock goals for your job here. Record your key annual business goals here. Record your personal finance goals here. This includes, but is not limited to, your annual personal education goals here. So it's walking you through job, business, personal, financial, monthly, and then weekly. And so the way that you do this is you fill out just so there's the annual, there's the monthly. So it breaks it down and says record what you will do each month for your personal finances. And then you fill out only 1 week at a time. So you don't fill out these other, you're just going to do 1 week at a time so that your brain goes, okay, to win the week, these are the activities that I'm going to do. And then there's notes down below. Page 27 says you should set aside 1 to 3 days each year to think about all and crystallize these 1-year goals. Again, you must get clear on your big rocks. From these, identify 5 to 7 goals that you must achieve in order to feel that you have had a successful year. These are written in terms of gauges. Gauges are those goals that act as measures of your intended results. Example, I want to double my last year's production. Annual goals should reflect each of the key areas of your life. There can be many categories, but we found the following categories to be most useful. Monthly goals. You should set aside 1 to 3 hours each month to rethink and further refine your monthly goals. Focus on the methods of achievement. How will you position yourself in pursuit of your annual goals? By breaking down your annual goals down into the monthly increments. In addition, write down the key activities that will lead to those monthly results. When deciding your monthly goals, remember to put first things first. Goals that are other goals hinged on have higher priority. You should have no more than 5 or 7 monthly goals. Do not plan any more than 1 month ahead. Weekly goals. You should set aside ½ hour to 1 hour each week to form goals for the coming week. Who was here on Tuesday at the team meeting when Jeff walked us through that list? Wasn't it good? Such a good reminder of the things that we know if we take the time the night before to review our calendar for the next day, it really does kind of settle the mind. Your weekly goals, all like your monthly goals and annual goals, but they're not a to-do list. They're a have-to-do. Different. You've got a different to-do list that you've got to get done. This is the have-to-do in order to be able to hit your goal. Decide what you must do that week to achieve your monthly goal. Again, remembering to put first things first and limit the weekly no more than 6 to 8 measurable activities. So before you start filling out the 411, you should focus on the goals that matter to you most. Here are some things to address. What is it that you want to accomplish? Start with the end in mind. Be specific about what you want. Vague goals will yield inconsistent results. How? How are you going to achieve the goals? You should have a clear idea of what strategies and activities. When are you going to achieve or accomplish these goals by? Your time frame should be laid out on your calendar, and time blocking is the key to avoiding distractions to focus your energy. We'll discuss time blocking in Chapter 4. See the appendix of the training manual for sample 411 worksheets for different KW roles. So on page 29, we're going to create a 411 action goal worksheet. Consider your 20% and select one of the big rocks for this exercise. Turn to the blank 411 action goal worksheet on the next page. Define annual, monthly, weekly goals related to the big rock. Remember to write SMART goals. If you need more space, use the back of the page. So on page 30, they've given you an example. And so you can go ahead and start filling that in. And then I'm going to show you guys, they've done an update recently online that looks a little different than it did before. So I'm just going to jump in here and show you.
And it's awesome.
It's stinking cool. So under Resources tab, you just hover over this and then go to the 411 tools.
You push it pushes, right?
Yeah, you can tell it too.
And then it says go to the 411 tool, or you can download PDF or Word documents that have just business or just personal, or they can have combined. And then it literally goes through every step that we just talked about here. And then it gives you the options and resources down below in the Word or the PDF. If you click this button, go to the online 411, it's a really quick drag and drop. It gives you instructions of how to do it. And so I went in here and I actually put in personal goals in my yearly goals, and you literally just type in hit enter, and now it's there. And then if you want to drag it up and say that's more important than that, you can literally do that. Then what you can do is click here and print, and then you're done. Now, get this. It's got check boxes. So when you get down to the weekly part, you can literally go in here, and if, like, okay, goal number 1 is I had a closing, what happens? I can check it. I can check the box. Isn't that awesome? And it's instantaneous. It's just like, look at it. Like, look. Oh, so exciting. So you can build your 411 online. So the way that I got there was through logging in, going to resources, and then go to 411 tools. And while we're here, can we just, if you haven't logged into this in a while, the best thing to do is to hover over the home button, click Welcome New Associates. And here, it's actually going to give you a step-by-step guide of how to get connected, all the links of what it is you need to do, all the different programs that you need to be familiar with, like if you haven't downloaded Kelly, or build your referral network here, live stream schedule of trainings, boost your production. It literally walks you through step-by-step to make sure that you can do a self-audit, that you're using all the tools that we have access to. So.
Can I make a comment on the 411 tool?
Absolutely.
When you guys get it filled out, when you get through January and you open it up in February, there are buttons in each section that say import the uncompleted tasks from last month, so you don't have to type those all in again. So just hit that button and it'll import all of them. The other thing to note is that you can't edit any of those things. So if you make a typo or whatever, you can't edit it. You have to delete it and recreate it.
Yeah.
The ones that you import?
Yeah, well, the ones
Any
you
of them.
type in. Whenever you type in and you hit enter, it's there forever. You can't change it. So you either have to delete it and re-add it, or
Yeah, and when you do that, you can just drag it back up to the top or whatever. It doesn't. Yeah, it's user friendly, so definitely a great tool. So for right now, we're going to use the one that's in our workbook, and so you're going to now break it down into job, business, personal, financial, and personal, and put your goals in there. So let's just do, I mean, is it helpful if we do something together? Yeah, okay. At least that's how my brain goes. All right, so what would one annual goal be?
So 20 homes.
20 homes, perfect. So, can someone be my calculator, please? So 20 families served. So if we take that total 20 families and divide it by 12 months, then we're selling how many houses a month?
1.67.
Perfect. So then if we sell 2 homes, then our weekly goal would be that every other week or every 2 weeks we're selling a house, right? So it'd be 1 closing would be the goal, and it would vary based on which week you fall on, right? So then let's take the next category, which they gave us was what? Where did my little thing go? So you would take where's my other cheat sheet? So the next one would be that you would break it down into contacts. So in order to sell 20 homes, let's say that you've got to have at least 200 contacts in your database. Right? And if right now you have 10, let's say you've got 10 people in your database, then that means that you're going to be adding 190 new contacts to your database this year, right? So let's take 190 and divide that by 12, please. 16?
15.8.
Thank you. 16, so then let's take 16 and divide that into 4 weeks.
4.
Try teaching and do math. Just saying. It's different. Your brain doesn't work the same. Simple math just is like, oh, anyway. Okay, so 4 new contacts. So can you see what happens is you're breaking it down into very measurable, specific. So then it's like, okay, well, that's an underachiever right there anyway, but okay. Because that's ridiculous. You can do 4. You're doing 10 right now in Ignite. Okay, then we would break it down into listing appointments. How many listing appointments?
You'd have to make.
So you would have your CGI numbers, and let's just say that it was 10 listing appointments, probably 10 to 12 or whatever. So do you see what I'm saying? So you just take these and you start breaking them down, and you're only filling out for this week. Now, if next week when we start filling in over here, if I didn't have a closing, then this moves over and I'm putting closing here. I did 4 contacts, so I did those 4, and now I'm doing 4 new contacts. And then it would be listing appointments, and then whatever else. So like for me, mine was Keller Williams University faculty approved. That's one of my goals, okay? So one of my personal goals is I want to apply to be Keller Williams faculty. So that's my big, big annual goal. Monthly then, I have that I'm going to teach at least 1 class that's Keller Williams University approved, and I've got to get evaluations. In order to do that, I need to have a goal of 100 evaluations. So what's 100 divided by 12?
Almost 9.
So let's just round it to like 10. I need to have at least 10 evals every single month, so then break that down into the weekly or whatever class it is. So I've got this personal goal that when I round to the end of this class, I'm going to ask you, can you please go to this website and leave me an evaluation? Because if I do that, then that one thing that I'm doing today in this class is then helping me reach my monthly goal, that's then helping me ultimately get closer to my annual goal. So it's no different than your goals that you're setting on yours.
So I have a question about the weekly.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say the goal for the week was 1 closing, I had 2 closings. So what would you do?
Smile and win and jump and be happy, and then just keep going. Yeah. So you, like every week, you're just, so you had your closing. So then you know that if that was a bonus.
Yeah.
And then it would just keep it there. You're keeping everything on a weekly, like, visual guide, so that you're being reminded of what it is you're doing on a weekly.
Still closing.
Mm-hmm. That's the goal. Absolutely. Okay. All right, so now, who has a 411 in place in some shape or form? Okay. And then, is it truly being executed? That's the question.
How can we not as fully as it could be?
Absolutely. Yeah, because when we sit down, we start talking about all the other things, right? That maybe aren't always the 20%. And that's okay, we're human. And this is why we're doing this class, is just to remind ourselves of the 20%, how important it is. And who are you doing your 411 with?
Who's holding me accountable? Well, he moved to Lake Tapps, so nobody right now.
Okay. So then it's a matter of, yeah, how do we go about this? And it could be a FaceTime conversation. It can be a phone call, or you could just get in the car and drive up the hill. Just giving you a hard time. Okay, score yourself right now. So we're at the scoring part, chapter 3. How are you doing right now? And can you see how this is something that's important? And can you see how we kind of have to slow down a little to be able to really get specific, so then we know what it is we're putting on the actual 411, so that it can be something that we execute. All right, chapter 4, implementing the 411. Discover the power of time blocking and examine ways to maximize your productivity. Use this powerful time management tool. Don't confuse business with busyness. Block and protect periods of time in your day. Focus on your 20% and remember the big rock story. So this one's hard, because I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to let people down. I don't want to hurt their feelings. It's rude to say no. It's hard. And so this takes discipline. And I was in a class where the instructor challenged everybody to turn notifications off. Like, there's no reason why every single time you get an email you need to know about it. You're already looking at it enough. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. There's no way I could do that. There's no way I could do that. And she challenged everyone. She's like, show me your phone. Turn off email notifications so that every single email that's buzzing in where someone's asking for a referral in Kansas isn't getting your attention, right? And so I would challenge you to do the same. I do not get notified for every single email that I receive. I know, some of you are like in shock. And
Rebecca, what I did is to slide me into that visibility, I did it from a specific time of day.
okay, so that's easing into it. Mm-hmm. We're in a society where everything is so instant everything. And yet if you train people and set really good expectations with people, that if there is something urgent, you call me. That's just, you call me. Or a text. You guys, if you need something from me, don't text me. Because what happens is you can't unread a text. Once you read it, it's read, and then all of a sudden you just keep going, and then you forget how many texts back that you were going to do something. So, I mean, I'm just being vulnerable. Like for me, when I do that, and I know there was an action step that I needed to do based on that text, I set a reminder on my phone. Hey Siri, set a reminder to text Rick Brown back. Or I'll put text RB. So then I know that's a reminder. I've got to go back and scroll for those texts, because there's nothing worse than forgetting. And so if it's something that you really want me to do and accomplish quickly, the best way is email. Email me, because I won't delete it or file it until I've taken action on whatever it is that you asked. Does that make sense? So you're setting expectations with people, and if it's an emergency, you call me. If it's something that's immediate and you need my attention right away, you call me. Otherwise, turning off notifications to your email, we're so in a habit of checking our phones anyway, you're not gonna miss anything. You're not. So I would challenge you to do the same. There's no reason, and turn off the other notifications. Like I don't get Facebook notifications. I don't, you can set up things so that you're not constantly being pinged all the time. And that's something that's really important that people will come to respect and appreciate. When I meet with you, it's like there's no one else in the world, because my phone doesn't buzz, there's nothing going on that's distracting me. I purposely I'll sit in the chair away from the door so that I'm just looking at you and I'm not distracted by the people that are walking back and forth. Like there are strategic things that I do.
You do that.
I do that.
You do that.
I mean, there's things that I've learned to do. You said doo-doo. Sorry. And so because of that, because I've turned off these other notifications because I want to respect the time that you and I have set to be together, I lose track of all time. And so if I'm not sitting somewhere where there's a clock right behind your head, then I literally set off an alarm that goes off. Or her name's Marissa, and she comes and knocks on the door and she says, your next appointment's here. That's her script. The next appointment is whatever my calendar says. It could be a human, it could be a bathroom, who knows? But my next appointment is here, because she's watching my calendar and she knows that she's holding me to what that next thing is. Does that make sense? So there is a gift in getting rid of those notifications. Because you already know if there's something time sensitive or whatever, you're going to be looking at your phone anyway. Shut the notifications off and then just put in parameters that hold you to whatever those boundaries are. And in that very first appointment, you can say, Gabby, thanks so much for meeting with me. As one of my clients, I want you to know that your time is, I understand, so precious, and so for the next 45 minutes, I'm turning my phone off. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
And they're going to do the same. If they're respectful, they're going to do the same. So you model the activity you want them to do. And then you just say, and just so you know, if ever you try to reach me and I'm not available, I'm probably in one of these. So now they're not going to be ticked off when they're texting or calling and they can't get a hold of you. You just set an expectation. Does that make sense? It's important, you guys. Otherwise, you're on your phone all the time. All the time. Because people are blowing you up. Okay, that was free. Time blocking. Congratulations, you've created a 411 action goal worksheet with carefully defined annual, monthly, weekly goals. Now what? You must put these goals and activities into motion using productivity and time management techniques. The most difficult challenge of managing your activities isn't knowing what to do. Instead, it's doing it. That's what it says. It's doing it. What is time blocking? Time blocking is a method of organizing your day and focusing on the 20% that matters most. Time blocking is a habit that allows you to schedule appointments with yourself to effectively manage your day. Be careful not to confuse time blocking with the practice of indiscriminately, thank you, filling up your calendar with events. Remember that you are in business, not in busyness. Block for the most important tasks your 20%. Don't try to time block every minute of your day or week. So I'm kind of guilty of this. Sometimes it's necessary. Like drink water, eat food, go to the bathroom. Like sometimes I've literally had to do those things because I will overbook myself because I want to be everything to everyone and overschedule myself. Even though I'm really good at time blocking, I'm like time blocking so tight that I've got to then schedule eat. Like that's I have issues. So don't try to time block every minute of your day or week. Block non-negotiable time throughout the week or month to focus on personal big rocks. Do you have time on your calendar right now that's just to think?
Or read a book.
Or read a book.
Yes, we have this.
Okay? Yeah, my coach challenged me on that. She said, can I challenge you on something? I said, sure. She said, would you do me a favor? And our coaching call's 30 minutes, right? I said, yeah. She goes, would you take the 30 minutes after our call, because at that point you're either in your car or you're in a conference room in a quiet, and just give yourself 30 minutes of quiet time afterwards just to think and just kind of implement what it is we've talked about, because it's so easy to get into a meeting, talk about what we're going to do, and then we move on to the next thing, and then there isn't implementation. And so I would challenge you the same. Start with just 10 minutes. That you don't do back-to-back appointments, and that you just give yourself time in between to think. Thinking time. John Maxwell has his thinking chair. He sits in this chair and he has his yellow notepad and he just takes notes. Like, it's important to just give yourself permission to stop and think. And then remember the big rock story. If you followed the wisdom of the 411 process, you've identified your big rocks, your 20%. All other 80% activities have to be delegated, dumped, or noted on a to-do list. I'll say that again. 80% activities have to be delegated, dumped, or noted on a to-do list. When you begin to time block, you must remember to fit the most important tasks into your jar, your calendar, before filling it with less important tasks and tasks that arise during the day. Unexpected requests, menial tasks, one-time assignments, and emergencies. So, what would it look like if when you're writing an offer and you get mutual acceptance, and now you're given an actual close date, that you put that on the calendar and time blocked for it? Normally when? When in the day does that, what happens on closing day? So you're gonna get a call that you're gonna get a call or an email that it funded, and then you're gonna get a call that it recorded, and most of the time that's later in the day if I'm generalizing. So what if you time blocked for an hour and a half to 2 hours? So then there aren't conflicts, and it's on the calendar now as an actual appointment on your calendar. So then you're not scrambling on the day of closing and, oh, I booked an inspection. Well, you're not going to if you've actually scheduled the closing. The other one is inspections. So setting an expectation with your buyer client right from the very beginning that when it's time to book inspection, these are the days we book inspections and these are the times of day. Does that work for your schedule? Why don't you ask right at the very beginning? And set an expectation, these are the days we do inspections. And then sometimes things happen and you have to move around on the fly, which is fine. And you have control to set your calendar in your perfect world. Like if you don't ever want to book an inspection on a Friday, don't. And you book the inspection. The buyer can choose the inspector. You always book the inspection, always. The buyer can say, this is the inspector that I choose, or hey, I'm good with the 3 that you said, whoever's available quickest or soonest, I'm good with, right? And then based on your calendar that's time blocked, then you call the inspector and say, I have Thursday at 2 or Friday at 11, which works better for you. Your client ever doesn't know that you didn't offer this, that, or the other because you are in control. How would that feel if you actually felt like you had more control of your time? You can by setting expectations right from the very beginning. Does that make sense? How many of you do that? Or is that something you could implement and it would change? Yeah. I mean,
used to, but I do now.
yeah, you've got to be in control of your calendar.
So do you not like to have someone else sit the inspection?
It just depends on scheduling. If you have a showing assistant, that's normally the showing assistant's responsibility. If you're an individual agent, it would just be a matter of you looking at your calendar and figuring out how to go about it. You could ask someone to be there, but most of the time, if you're an individual agent, you should be at that entire inspection from beginning to end because you're the one that's writing that 35R. And you better know exactly, was it the Northeast or was it the Southwest or where was this or was it chipping paint on the garage or the house or whatever. So as an individual agent, I would say buyer's agent, it's your responsibility to be there the entire time. Yeah. And that's a chunk of time. That's 3 hours of your life you're never going to get back.
3 hours that you can build on your client relationship, though.
Oh, you go deep during those times. And are you purposeful? Move from being entrepreneurial to just showing up to purposeful. Like, do you show up with water bottles? Do you show up with, something to keep the kids busy? Or do you show up with activities to do during that particular time? Or be purposeful about the time? Because that's a huge chunk of time that you're going to be there.
Reiterating expectations, the timelines. This is what we're going to be doing moving forward. This is what it's going to look like the next 45 days.
Absolutely.
There's so much opportunity there.
Absolutely.
And if you can't go, for whatever reason you can't go and you're going to send somebody, you better have an itemized checklist of these are the things, the points, this is how you're going to talk to my client, this is what you're going to do while you're there, this is the information you're going to gather,
Yeah.
These are the pictures you're going to take, and this is how you're going to report back to me if you're not going to go.
Absolutely.
Because if not, you're doing a disservice to your client and to your business.
Yep, I agree. So have a checklist at the open house, right? Be purposeful about an open house. Is it vacant? Bring chairs to sit. Like, think ahead and be purposeful about everything that you're doing by time blocking and then going, okay, here's an activity. How can I move from E, entrepreneurial, to P, purposeful about this? So. All right, so let's turn to page 37 and talk about time blocking keys to success. Be purposeful about the items you put on your calendar. Consider your 20% when you block times on your calendar. For example, you may want to block off daily time to meet with your clients or even team members. Then give clients the opportunity to meet with you according to this schedule, rather than asking, when do you want to meet? Or what's good for you? Ask individuals to meet you at specific times within your schedule. Try giving clients a choice between 2 times. There is no need to explain why other times aren't available. Let them conclude that you're a popular, busy professional who carefully manages her time or his time. If neither time choice works for your client, offer another option. Now you're in control of your time, not your clients. So this is a script, you guys. This is just a script. Jax, I'd love to meet. Are you available Thursday at 2 or Friday at 11? The brain will always go to the last thing you said. They'll say Friday at 11. Rachel, great. I'd love to get together Wednesday at 6 or Saturday at 10. The brain will forget I don't remember what I just... 10 on Saturday works great for me. Good. So you can control based on a time block calendar. It gives you control to actually say to the person, you literally are manipulating them into the time that is most convenient for you by just using a few key words. Don't say what works best for you, because then they're going to give you a bunch of stuff that doesn't work for you. So it's love and logic, right? It's, do you want Cheerios or Fruit Loops? It's not, do you want Cheerios, Fruit Loops, Captain Crunch, Honey Bunches of Oats, and then the kid sits there and then they're like, and it's painful. Yeah, I'd love to meet and see your house. We should meet. That's the best script ever. We should meet. Don't overthink it. Hi, we need to sell. We should meet. Just keep saying that. We should meet. I have Wednesday at 6 or Saturday at 11. Which works better for you? The only way I can say Wednesday or Saturday is because those are the days that Bella is gone and I know I'm not compromising family time. Everything else, I got to check my calendar and get back to you. I still give 2 options. So that came from time blocking 411. Number 2, be thoughtful about which activities are best blocked at which times. Study and make notes regarding which times of day are most demanding for you and which times of day bring you the most interruptions. Isn't it funny what happens between 4 and 5? Like 4 to 5:30 I find is when it's just the weirdest. And like the phone just goes and goes and goes and goes. And I'm like trying to wrap up the day here, people. And that's when they're getting off work and they're wanting to call you. So time block accordingly for it. Time-consuming off-site errands, mid-afternoon. Be strategic about the times you block to perform certain activities. Be diligent, number 3, about not allowing anything to steal your time you have dedicated to the activities on your calendar. Protect your time you have blocked for a specific activity. Vice versa, avoid doing scheduled activities outside the time blocks allowed. So, what does that look like? Be diligent about not letting anything else. It's saying no. And it's having other times that are specific for when you're going to meet. When I first stepped into the role as assistant team leader, what was happening is that there would be people that were calling me and wanting to meet. Okay, sure, yes, let's meet. Let's meet, let's meet, let's meet, we should meet. Let's meet, let's meet, we should meet. And all of a sudden, I found myself literally doing circles around the office, giving everyone an office tour, like 6 times one day. And I was tired. And I was overwhelmed. And then one day, you know what happened? I went out to the lobby to get my guest, and there were 2. And I double booked myself and didn't even know it. I was like, hi, thanks so much for coming. And I did the tour, and I walked around the office, and then I finished, and I said, great, get your license, you're gonna love it here. And I was like, wow, that was fun. I'm gonna start grouping my people together. Hey Jeff, is there any reason why it has to be a one-on-one? There was like this cool energy between these 2 people that were like, they were gonna be like doing it together, and they exchanged numbers and they were like, yeah, we got this. Is there any reason why I have to meet with people one-on-one? He goes, well, no, you can if they request it, otherwise go for it. So like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm competitive, so I'm like, I wonder how many people I could get into one group. Because I've got appointment goals, and so what if I just gathered all the people together and I like hit all my monthly goal numbers in one shot? Like, how cool would that be? So then it was on. I was like, oh yeah, let's pile these people like all at once because I love this, you know, and it happened. There were 17.
Oh, gee, Christmas, that's a lot.
Midway room wasn't big enough anymore. We had been shoving chairs in because I'd been getting there. I'd been getting it like, 9 or 10. And I was like, someday I'm going to be in the training room. And then it happened. And there were 17.
You were busy this week. It was big.
Right? Yeah. It's the same for your business, you guys. It's called a downsizing seminar. It's called a home buyer's workshop. It's the exact same thing. You can meet with them one-on-one, and there's times when it's going to absolutely need to be one-on-one. And just think about it. Think about things that you could cover if you had a group of people all together at once that you were talking about investing in real estate or about downsizing. All it is, downsizing workshop. Do you know what it is? It's a listing presentation. It's the exact same script. It's the exact same packet as every single one of our listing appointments. We just call it a downsizing workshop. Because who comes to a downsizing workshop?
People that need to downsize.
People that need to downsize. So then I just hit my monthly listing appointment goal in one shot because they all came in one room. And then we do a follow-up at their house or whatever else. So time blocking allows you to work smarter, like they said, smarter, not harder. Number 4, erase and replace. There are times when a true emergency arises during one of your time blocks. You will obviously need to respond. The key is to replace the time. If you use an hour to deal with an emergency, immediately replace the hour by blocking another hour on your calendar to return to the task. 5, be consistent enough to set the habit. For example, set aside 1 hour in the morning for a specific activity. Try this for several days or weeks to test the schedule. Make adjustments, then set this as your habit. Inform others of your new schedule. Many times, and I don't know, it's not just new agents, it's anyone, we're so easily distracted. And you're like, oh, I've got to add people to my database. I got to go take them right off the pipeline that I got and add them into eEdge. And so what I would suggest is, hey Siri, set a timer for 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes and counting.
And then you literally sit there and get everything off, put some earbuds in with some quiet, like 30-minute chunks of time, and go, I'm going to work on Cloud CMA right now. And I'm just setting up my profile, and I'm doing everything to do with Cloud CMA. I'm going to download Kelly, and I'm going to ask her at least 5 questions. Download Kelly, do this, do that, get familiar, text some friends, the Kelly app, test this out, let me know what you think. All about Kelly, 30 minutes. The alarm's going to go off in 30 minutes, and then it will kind of like, oh, okay, good, I'm done. Versus you sitting there and you've turned your phone off, right, to the do not disturb, like you're focused, you will get things done. You will implement things because you've actually time blocked for it to happen. So setting time blocks for your time. On page 38, think about your 411. What are the weekly goals you listed to reach your 20%? Assign blocks of time for each task you wrote in the weekly category. Morning, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, afternoon, 1, 2, 3, 4. Time blocking up front is easy. Just go to your calendar and do it. So the best way to do it is just go a few weeks out where you don't have anything booked just yet and start time blocking the most important things. Family, right? What are your work hours? And then of those work hours, what are you doing? The whole purpose of you going to Ignite from 9 to noon is to get you into the habit of doing something for 3 hours uninterrupted. In the morning when your energy's high. When Ignite is done and you've graduated Ignite, it's because you're supposed to keep doing everything you just everything you just started. That's why they've designed the program, is because you literally get to that point of doing it right before or before 11 o'clock. So chapter 4, page 39, becoming truly productive is a matter of generating productivity habits. A habit is a routine you do every day. Before a routine can become a habit, however, it must begin as a deliberate decision. You shape the routines that create your habits, the habits that will lead you to your goals. Identify your unique abilities. To maximize your success and satisfaction, you must work at knowing and developing your unique abilities. Remember to do what you do best and delegate the rest. Use leverage, people, systems, tools to stay within your unique ability. Identifying your unique ability may take a little time. However, after you do this, you will want to generate a not to-do list. A not to-do list for all those tasks that would serve only to consume your time. Then don't do them. Determine what can be handled with better technology and what you can delegate. So what comes to mind when you hear a not to-do list?
Laundry. Biggest waste of time ever.
Yes. Folding like that. Oh my gosh.
The switching of the laundry and stuff, that's the easy stuff.
Cooking.
Folding. Oh, cooking's fun. It's the cleaning up the kitchen after cooking. I would much rather delegate that.
Cleaning up after cooking?
Yes, I love the cooking part. But I don't want to have to, so like I'll clean while I'm cooking, but then you still have your pans that have to be the last thing, and I don't like doing that. And then the dishes from where everybody eats, I don't like doing that. I don't like to do the last part of it. But like the stuff as you're going, you clean and cook. Like when I bake, I don't really have a lot when I'm done baking because I'm always putting away in the dishwasher. When you're cooking dinner, you don't have that luxury, so I don't like cleaning up after that.
So it's a matter of asking yourself the question, who could do this instead of me?
Everybody.
Who? Everyone else could. And you guys, the thing is that, you'll do the activity with Dan, what am I worth an hour? What is my dollar value per hour? And everything less than that, you are supposed to be delegating to other people. Guys, you should not be mowing your yards unless you absolutely love it. And obviously you don't do it this time of year because we have nothing but rain. There are tasks that you absolutely should not be doing because you need to maintain your energy to be able to do the things that you absolutely need to do. So creating a not to-do list is really challenging and yet super freeing. Because when you do it, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this time and this was fabulous, I should do this again. And you're like, why do I feel so good? It's because you learned to delegate. Just say no. In our people-pleasing industry, it's often difficult to say no to people. However, without a plan for saying no, you may very well end up overworked, overstressed, and out of time. Now here's the thing with overworked, overstressed, and out of time. Your clients feel it. So if you're not good at faking it, then you've got a problem. Because what that means is that when someone says, how are you doing? And you're not answering great, and you can't convince them, they feel the stress and tension, and they will start referring business to someone else and never tell you. And later, you'll hear about something and they go, and if you have the guts to ask, they'll, oh, you said you were super busy and you were super crazy and you could barely talk when I caught you on the phone. And so I didn't want to bother you with more business because it sounded like you were good.
That's why you never say you're busy.
You never say you're busy. I'm doing great. I'm doing all right. How can I help? Always answer back with a question. Don't ever say you're busy, because if you do, it communicates. Listen to how you talk to people. Listen to the tone. Ask people around you to say, how is it that I talk? Because clients feel that kind of energy, and without you even realizing it, are going to give other people your business. All because of the way that you responded. So, overworked, overstressed, and out of time. It's a matter of setting boundaries. And I'll never forget, it was 2012, I think it was 2012 that I remember sitting with my best friend Nikki, and I just said, I don't want to drive longer than X number of miles anymore. I don't think it's wise, this or that, wherever I was at, and she's like, why don't you just write it down? Just write it down that you don't sell houses beyond this territory, this area. Just draw a little map. And you don't have to show it to anyone. I'll look at it, and you've just made a commitment to yourself that this is your territory, and anything outside of that you refer. And I was just like, wow, that's yeah, let's do that. And I think that's it, is you have to give yourself permission to set boundaries. Just because someone comes and says they want to work with you doesn't mean you have to work with them. You can refer clients all day long. You can fire them and they don't even know it. Rick, in order for you to get the best care possible based on the schedule and the house that you're looking for, I've asked for an expert who actually knows the area really well, her name is Kara, to come alongside and be the expert that you need for this. Based on my schedule and calendar and your work schedule of when you're going to be available to look at homes, Kara's a way better match. Is it okay if I make an introduction?
You want a yes there?
And behind the scenes, I just set up a referral. I'm going to make money and I'm not going to do anything. And I just got rid of a client that maybe I didn't have the time for. Or, it's there are times when I've sat down with someone, I'm just like, I don't ever want to see you again. Absolutely. In order for you to get the best care possible, I've asked my specialist in Ording to come and help you find exactly what you're looking for. $142,000 or less, 5-bedroom, 3-bath. Yeah. And then behind the scenes, I'll then go to someone and go, Rick, I've got this issue. I don't know that I've got the time or patience. However, they're just going to need some hand-holding. Would you be up for a referral? Here are all the reasons why I'm thinking I'm not a good fit. Be honest with the person you're referring the business to, And you don't have to work with everyone. Because what happens to that person when they're calling you, when you have your phone ringing and you look at it, and you're like, oh, then it's on you. You've clearly not set expectations with them, or you've chosen to work with someone you probably shouldn't have. And you got into real estate to be free and to have flexibility and for you to be in control. So, okay, just say no. The 4 steps to no are: clarify by asking questions. Make sure you understand the request. If you want to say no, do so. You can be polite and firm spontaneously. Simultaneously. Remember that no is a complete sentence.
I love that.
Will you reduce your commission?
No. Next question. A smile goes a long way, you guys. Like, a smile goes a long way. Did you see? There was no option. The seller asked 2 things. 1, that you remove your shoes. 2, that you sign this guest book. Eye contact and a smile goes a really long way. Will you reduce your commission?
No.
No, you just look right at them, straight in the eye. No, smile. Next question. What else is on your mind? Move on. No is a complete
A
sentence.
smile goes a long way, a laugh might go too far. Do you want to role play that with me, John? You don't have to justify your reason for saying no. Suggest viable alternative resources for the person to research. Delegate. As we've discussed, part of learning to leverage with systems, tools, and people is learning to delegate tasks. If someone can perform a task faster, better, and more economically than you, go ahead and delegate. How many people work with Kelly Penland for transaction coordinating? Right? Like, hello, that is not, you don't want me to edit anything. You don't want me to proofread any of your stuff. Like, ever. Because it's not a gift of mine. You want someone who's going to pay attention to those details, and you can get a transaction coordinator to do that for you. Selecting the correct person for the job. Providing the person to whom you delegate clear, concise instructions and training if necessary. That's where I'm not good at communicating clear, concise instructions sometimes. And so then it's really helpful for someone to then ask me, like, well, by when is this due? Or by when do you want this done? Or what exactly did you mean? Because sometimes I am too vague and I've got to be asked questions to get more specific. Realizing the person to whom you delegate may have a learning curve to navigate. Assigning a deadline. Explaining the why as well as the what of the project. I do that a lot, don't I? The end in mind. Like, the reason why I'm asking you to do this is this, and here, and then this is how I think it should go, but I'm open to however you get there or whatever. Allowing the person to whom you delegate to own the project, developing a system for regular follow-up communication, being available for support, avoiding reverse delegation, don't get the job back, sharing the reward or credit, and celebrating when the job is done. So, exercise. Do you delegate? Rank the situations below using the key. I realize that delegating is a difficult task, but may create an excellent training opportunity. Always, usually, half-time, occasionally, never. Go ahead and put your answer in there. I don't micromanage, rather offer support as necessary. Always, usually, half-time, occasionally, or never. I require progress reports so that I can circumvent problems. Always, never, half-time, occasionally, never. When delegating, I carefully match the task being developed and the person developing it. We've reached the end of this chapter, and before we move on, take 5 minutes to assess your mastery of the chapter's objectives. Refer to your score sheet. So the score sheet now says, I use time blocking to help me with my goals. I use my unique abilities and my limitations. I know how to say no, and I delegate my 80%. So look at this one up here. I don't know why the book doesn't start with this. So
So this is actually a chapter in the book, the red book, and it's at the very end. And someday when I shake our CEO's hand, I'm going to ask him, who made that decision? Maybe it was Jay, I don't know. I'm just curious, how come they didn't start with that as chapter 1? And it talks about the energy plan of a millionaire real estate agent. Meditate and pray for spiritual energy. Exercise and eat for physical energy. Hug, kiss, and laugh for emotional energy. Plan and calendar for mental energy. And lead generate for business energy. And when are you supposed to do it by?
All by 11.
All by 11 a.m. So the action plan on page 46, it says, now you've come to the most important part of this training course. It's time to make a commitment to yourself. Will you use the 411? Will you focus on your 20%? Will you protect your big rocks? Only you can answer these questions, but you don't have to go at it alone. In the exercise below, you will team up with a peer partner who will help keep you accountable to your big rocks and the goals that you've identified during this course. So you're going to put together an action plan that's in the back of your manual. Choose a peer partner and exchange contact information. Use your scorecard sheet to review your challenging areas. In the big rocks column of your action plan, list the major areas in which you need improvement. In the action plan column, list 3 or 4 specific tasks that you're going to complete to bring yourself up to mastery level. Under the accountability date, record the date your partner will call to check on your status. 7, enter your accountability partner information at the bottom of your plan. And on the second copy of the action plan, list your big rocks and contact information. Give this plan to your accountability partner. So let's go to page 48 together. 8 categories of the mega agent. So now this is going to break it down for you guys so that you can start putting together your personal plan. Number 1 is leads. These are placeholders. Categories act as placeholders. When you have them in place before you begin the goal setting or the evaluation process, it's harder to forget or ignore areas that need your attention. So the first one is leads. Leads generated and source of leads and conversion rates. So this right here, you guys, you can use CTE for. You can literally do the lead generation tracker where it's how many calls did you make, and then how many appointments you've gone on, how many appointments set, how many appointments held, how many contracts written, how many open houses did you hold. So there's a leads tracker within CTE. 2, listings. Seller listings taken, buyer listings taken. 3, contracts written. 4, contracts closed. Money, people, systems and tools, and education. And so these are all categories that then you can track and use as you're building your 411 plan. The next page goes over the 8 goal categories of the marketing and administrative manager. So this is for every single position on a team, and it goes through and actually breaks it down as to what they focus on more. On page 50, it talks about the 7 areas of accountability of a team leader. Recruit, money management, consult, ALC, and train. So of the Market Center, if you look at the top-down report, it's our entire roster of everyone based on productivity. Team leaders are meeting with the top 20%. It's the 80-20 principle. ALC are specifically getting attention because that's what they volunteered to be a part of, and you'll see the 80-20 show up in many different ways. This breaks it down and actually shows in order for our office to be profitable so that we have a lot of profit share to share, these are the things that we have to work towards. So it's an example. So if you're a launch office, a growth office, or an achievement, 33% should be full cappers, 33% should be half cappers, 33% should be quarter cappers or new. Monthly expenses should be less than 10% of the GCI. half to 1 listing per month per agent. So when we're in our ALC meeting, we sit down and we look at what's the productivity of each agent in our office. And then we're literally looking at that and going, what classes do we need to hold? Who do we need to be reaching out to ask who needs help? More than 10 million a month. ALC, 20% of your agents are recruiting 5 agents per year. The ALC as a whole is accountable for recruiting 5 agents per month. This equates to at least 60 agents per year being recruited by the ALC. And then training, that there should be 12 classes per week. And so then we're looking at the training calendar to make sure what is it that we're doing? Who are we teaching? What are we teaching? At what level are we teaching? So these are just examples at the market center level. And then on page 51 is the accountability for operating principle. All right, so on page 52, you guys have a sample of the 411 for a millionaire real estate agent. And so this is, and again, this is where you're going to want to take the time to go down now and write your individual job goals, business goals, financial goals, and personal goals. Once you do that, then what I would ask you to do is either scan it or take a picture of it. And then if you're in productivity coaching, you're going to send it to Trisha or Dan. If you're not in coaching, then you would send it to me, and then we'll set you up for accountability activities around what it is that you've put together. All right, I've been talking a lot, and I need a drink of water in a bad way. So who right now is using their Google Calendar and have it sync to your phone? So if you're not, I would say that that's the first thing that you should do. If you're not doing that, it's okay. However, don't book anything with anyone then until you're in front of your computer, period. Like you've got to set up and say, well, let me check my calendar and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, you want to have access, so you want to sync your phone to your calendar so that from anything, any device that you're on, you can actually see what's going on so you can schedule it. Okay, so let me do this real quick. We're going to take a few ahas and action steps in a minute. And as promised, I'm going to ask each one of you to go to kwueval.com. The course that we've been working in today is under Time Management with the 411. The event type is Market Center. That means it's in our office, so Market Center. And then when you click on the instructor name, I'm not there, so if you go right to the very bottom, instructor not in drop down, and you click on that, and then it's going to ask you to type my name in.
What was, I'm sorry.
Can you do the KW what?
Yeah, so KWU and then EVAL.com. So KWUEVAL.com. And then it's Time Management with the 411, Market Center, and then instructor name is not in drop down, which is the very final option that you can do. My name's Rebecca Del Pozo, and then you're going to rate the presentation skills and knowledge of me, 1 through 5, answer the questions there, and then click Done, and then that's going to help me get feedback as an instructor. And then we're going to share some action steps that we can take from here moving forward. The evaluations matter because this is on the Keller Williams approved trainer plan. You have to gather a certain number of evaluations. Then you have to get 3 letters of recommendation at a regional level, and then you have to meet a certain number of volume in your business. And then once you have all of those done and you've attended Train the Trainer and then Train the Trainer Advanced, then you can apply for KWU faculty. And what that means is that then they give the stamp of approval to be able to go and teach any KWU course anywhere in the world. And that's what I'd like to do. That's my 10-year plan. So, can you see the value of the tools that Gary Keller has provided us? The GPS. Anything that, I mean, this works for kids. Anytime there's a goal, you can take that goal and then break it down into 3 priorities, right? And then 5 strategies to then actually grab what it is that needs to be done to then put it on the calendar. And then I think the biggest piece is accountability. So if there isn't anyone that's looking at your calendar right now, there really should be. Screenshot your calendar and send it to me. And then we're going to compare the 411 goals based on what your calendar looks like, just to see, does your calendar support what it is that you've said is important to you in your goals? So share with me, what's one thing that you're going to do after today's class in the realm of time blocking that is different than you've been doing up until this point? Yeah, Bonnie?
Getting my husband's buy-in on it, because I think that it's very easy for me to ignore my calendar when he's home or when he brings up an activity for the family that contradicts my calendar.
Okay, so getting your partner's buy-in on your calendar. That's great. What else?
Scheduling the gym and date night.
Scheduling the gym and date night. And so how many date nights?
At least 1 a week.
1 date night a week. And then what day of the week would be most convenient for you to do a date night?
Friday.
Friday. And so then when I see you, would you be offended if I asked you on a Monday how date night was on Friday?
No.
Okay. And for gym, how many times a week to the gym?
Starting next week, 5 days. It was 3 days this week, 5 days next week.
So three days at the gym this week was the goal. And have you gone?
Yes, I've done the 2. Tomorrow's the 3rd.
Tomorrow's the 3rd. And so next week you're going to ramp it up to 5 days a week that you're going to go to the gym.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Okay, awesome. And who's holding you accountable to that?
Gordon,
Gordon's holding you accountable to that? How is he holding you accountable?
by meeting me there.
Gordon's meeting you at the gym?
The gym.
Gordon's meeting you at the gym. And what is the cost?
Gordon is not meeting me at date night.
What is the cost if you fail to meet Gordon at the gym?
Intense shaming.
Intense shaming? Have you already spelled out what that shaming will look like?
Oh, I already know.
Okay,
You want to know.
As does he.
that sounds good. Who else?
Which gym is this?
The YMCA in summer.
Perfect. We're all going to
Sarah?
We're gonna be waiting there.
All right, Sarah, what are you going to do?
I am going to be more intentional of taking the items that are on my 411 and actually time blocking those exact goals into my calendar.
Perfect. So you're going to take
They're
what...
not all there yet.
So you've got a 411 in place.
Yeah.
Perfect. And so now you're going to take the things that are on the 411, and then your calendar is going to start matching what that is. And so then who's going to hold you accountable to that? Okay. And so how will I know that your calendar matches your 411? So you're going to email me a screenshot of your calendar before we have our 411 meeting. So then I'll have time to review it before we sit down to make sure that it actually matches. Good. What else?
I'm going to use the 135 for everything.
Going to use the 135.
Gabby's going to hold me accountable.
Awesome. I like it. Anyone bold enough to turn off your notifications with me?
I've never hooked my notifications up.
Say that again?
I've never hooked them up. I've never known when I just look, because I check my email so much throughout the day, I've never had it on.
Okay, and so then with that, it's all about how you set the expectation with people, isn't it? So the best way for you to get on my calendar is how? Emailing me, because then I have the time to look at the calendar, and then I have to ask Marissa if I'm allowed, and then I book something. Because she holds me accountable to the calendar, because otherwise I'm go. And I overwork myself, and then I'm tired, and then I eat the wrong things, and then I don't have energy, and then I don't sleep, and I'm stressed, and I'm tired, right? So you've got to get people in place to hold you accountable. Now, the one thing that I read in this, you guys, as I was prepping for class, is you're not supposed to time block more than 50% of your day. What's that?
Is that counting sleeping hours?
I know, so I was thinking.
I was gonna say, does that count all 24 hours, or is that just like your 8-hour day?
Are you time blocking your sleep?
I don't know.
When I read that as the things that are immovable in my calendar.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
if I time block gym and, lead generation, team meetings, that sort of thing, that's not gonna take more than 4 or 5 hours a day.
Right.
And then I have room in the rest of my calendar for
Right.
listing appointments, buyer consultations,
Right.
open houses.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of time blocking. When I don't see someone at a team meeting, all it tells me is that they didn't time block correctly. Because we have that team meeting every single month on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday between 11 and noon. So when someone says, oh, sorry, I got to show a house, can't come to class, or, oh, sorry, can't come to team meeting because I'm doing an inspection. Well, that means that you, 1, weren't organized enough with your calendar, 2, you were a softie and you gave in and you didn't hold to your boundaries, or 3, maybe it was the absolute only time that it was going to work for everyone, and in that case, that's fine. It's just, oh, I'm too busy. That word needs to be removed from your vocabulary. Because all of us are busy. It's just a matter of prioritizing and managing the time that we have.
Well, what's interesting about that is that when we give out awards every month, most everybody that gets an award is at the meeting. So if you want to put those together, if you want an award, you should probably start showing up to the meetings and learning how to do the business to get the awards. Just saying.
That's a good observation. What else? What else are you going to do? You're going to implement your 411, right? You're going to take the time, take 30 minutes to fill in your personal 411 for 2019. It's not too late. It's time to do that right now. If you haven't done a 135 for the year, it's time. It's time for you to put together a 135 for your business this year. And if you need help with that, that's what Dan, Trisha, and myself and Jeff, that's what we're here to do. So if you don't know how to use the tools, come to immersion. If you don't know how to do, whatever, come back to immersion. I have so much respect for the people who come around a few times, because I know then, wow, these are the people that are serious about learning their craft.
Rebecca, is this available online to us?
I can email it to you.
Yes. We're going to do it as a team.
How about this? I'll email it to you when you email me your 411.
Would we? With the 411.
So,
Don't cave.
Send you the.
Don't cave.
When we do the 411 on the My KDAD, you can download that and like send that to you, right?
I don't know if it lets you download it. You could print it to PDF. You could print it to PDF.
PDF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have a few extra ones around, Gail, if you need one. And if not, I just want to see your 411. The biggest thing, you guys, is the difference between those who succeed and those who don't is implementation. Like all of you are sitting in this room with me right now and have heard the exact same information in some shape or form. Why aren't we all millionaires? Because we have the same book that we're all reading. Are we reading it? Because most of the answers are in that book, we just have to take the time to open it. It's implementation and it's uncomfortable. And so as far as I'm concerned as your leader, like I'm gonna make you uncomfortable because I care. Otherwise, if I don't see you around, it means you're not making enough to take care of your family. And there's something wrong. And based on every tool and everything that I've been exposed to, it's on you. Like we're here ready to give everything we've got. You've just got to show up and then take action. So I want to see your 411s. I really do. And a screenshot of your calendar that matches. And then at that point, we schedule out either monthly check-ins or weekly check-ins based on whatever you need. And if you're in productivity coaching, that's what Tricia and Dan are here to do. If you haven't done a KPA, the Keller Personality Assessment, please email me and then we'll send those out as well. And I'm done. Thanks for being here.